What's going on, guys? Black Scout Survival, and today this video we're going to be talking about coastal survival and fishing and crabbing specifically. And I've been down here, on the coast doing some fishing and crabbing for the past few days. And during that time period, during the fishing portion of it, I was actually fishing in this it was low tide, so I was having to actually get out in the mud and stuff like that. And I took off my shoes during that time because I was sinking, and then I hooked into a fish that carried me into an oyster bed and stepped and cut my foot. So I had to go get stitches and stuff like that, but I was gonna talk about even finding oysters and stuff like that and just do a whole coastal hunting and gathering, but I just didn't even want to go back over in that area after the fact. But anyhow, so you've seen it in the past. I've done the Cuban Yo Yo a good bit, and we'll initially first talk about that. If you don't know what that is, this is a Cuban Yo Yo, and it's very effective. It's small, and you can pretty much carry it in your pack or anywhere you're going and stuff like that. So it's a good rig. Now there's two rigs that I use for this usually. This is my saltwater one. I have a freshwater one too, and I would do some freshwater fishing in the future, showing how to use this in the freshwater. But there's usually two rigs that I use, and typically in saltwater I use a leader rig like this. So this is a wire leader, but this is commonly referred to as the Carolina rig. So the weight's here, drawing it down, and then you'll have your bait on a hook behind it and just drag it or let it sit on the bottom for bottom feeders and stuff like that. So that's one rig I use a good bit. And typically during that time I will use these hooks, these ready set hooks, these Circle C hooks, and they're stainless for corrosion resistance in the salt water. The next rig I'll use is this. This is a Cajun Thunder. It's typically used for saltwater fishing, redfish and stuff like that in the marshes, and you can hear that noise, so it kind of gives a rattle. And how this works is it'll sit down flat in the water, so whenever you get a strike, it'll stand up like this right here, and you'll hear the clacking. But you can also make it clack to draw redfish and stuff like that, and then also just have a steel leader rig with a Circle C hook there, and C is S-E-A. So that's typically the two rigs I use for that. And like I said, this is very packable and you use a lot of different things for it, so it's good effective gear, and small, doesn't take a lot of weight, and it can work in salt and fresh water. But bait wise for these, you want to use shrimp, you can use fiddler crabs. We caught some fiddler crabs and was using for bait, and fiddler crabs are pretty easy to catch. You can also take a bucket and dig a hole and put the bucket in there and scare them into it, and they'll drop in the bucket and can't get out. You can also use minnows and make a minnow trap like I've shown in a video before, and I'll put that link in this video. So that's another effective technique. But you can also use artificial baits as well. So there's a lot of different things you can do. The next thing I'm going to show you is the way we crab, and there's a few ways to crab, but this is the 2-ring crab trap, and this is it right here. So what it is just a net trap with 2 metal rings, one smaller, one larger, and I just put 2 1-ounce lead egg sinkers on the bottom, but you can use rocks or whatever. You can also fashion one of these out in the field with like a stick and weave a net out of 550 cord. But the good thing about this is that it collapses flat. So whenever you drop in the water, it collapses flat. The crabs come up and you lift up, raise up, and it becomes a basket. You'll want to tie bait in here. Crabs like any type of decaying fish or chicken. I use chicken. I'll tie drumsticks or chicken necks in there, and you'll just lower it down into the water, let it stay flat. They'll crawl in, and typically when you pull up and pull it back up, you'll have a boatload of crabs in there. So good effective trap. Also, like I said, you can make your own using 550 cord. You can also just tie a piece of bait onto, and even with my Cuban Yo-Yo, I was seeing this, like I'd cast out with shrimp on it, pull back in, I'd have a crab stuck to it. So you can tie even just a piece of meat or fish onto a line, drop it down, the crab will come hold on to it and you can pull it up, but you'll need to be able to scoop him up with a net because he'll usually let go once he gets out of the water. So anyhow, that's just some few things that you can do for coastal food. You know, crabs, you want to keep them alive until you cook them. You can't, you know, cook them dead because they'll make you sick and stuff like that. Also, don't eat the lungs because they'll make you sick. But this is a good thing to do for recreation and also practice for a survival situation. So it's fun to go out and go on vacation with your family. Get your food for that night, you know, fish and crab, and then cook them up and eat them for vacation. But it's also helping you hone your survival skills. But hope this video helps you, and please subscribe to our channel. We put out a few new videos every week. And as always, thank you for watching.